Every founder starts with a vision, the late nights, the risk, the big idea. But here's a hidden truth. Most companies don't collapse because the idea wasn't good enough. They collapse because the founder held on too tightly. The endless need to control every detail. It feels like leadership, but in reality, it slows a form of drowning. Delegation isn't about giving up control, it's about survival. It's about building a business that can breathe without you, a team that can thrive without you in the room, on every email, in every decision. If you refuse to let go, you don't scale, you stall, and the numbers will prove it.
Hey everybody, welcome back to episode 37 of Never in Reversed. I'm your host, Jeremy Axel, co-host Doug Cox. Hey Doug, what's going on, buddy?
Jeremy Axel. Oh,
welcome to October, buddy. Fall, baby.
I do love it, but it's, I don't know. Summer, I wish, it just feels like summer goes by so fast, and now you're just, your weekends, you're trying to cram things in, have a little fun, little reprieve, and then you're gearing up Sunday for Monday and school and the work week. And yeah, no,
another one bites
I like the
dust.
fall though. Time flies.
This thing's been going on almost a year, and I'm like, this podcast, and it's like, wow, man. I don't know about you, but I've been growing through this. You just start learning a lot about, especially on the front end, man, the insecurities.
Are you getting taller?
Oh, dude, 100%. I'm getting younger too.
Growing.
Yeah, you can tell.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
My cosmetics are, yeah, exactly. Don't be jealous, dude. That's all right.
That Botox.
Puff those lips up, baby. Let's go.
That's right.
Well, let's dive into this episode, guys. Before we start, go ahead and find us on all the audio platforms, guys. Amazon, Spotify,
YouTube, Apple, Spotify.
Yeah, we're all there. Please join, comment, like, subscribe. Today's topic, guys, is going to go on around business, and it's going to be around delegation as a leader or you drown. And I'm going to be able to do a lot on this topic. And, the breaking point is going to be, we do our episodes in 3 categories. Episode 1's the first segment of this episode, so he's going to be a breaking point. And I'm going to tell you, this is going to be a funny part. I wouldn't say funny, but there was a part about 3 years ago where it was either relinquish control, or I was going to probably have a heart attack, to be honest with you, because I was just absorbing. I mean, I'm not joking, man. I mean, I was taking everything, and I was like, I didn't want the brain to go astray. I didn't. Making everyone control this, right? And part of it was we didn't have the right people in the right seat. We didn't have the right team, I guess, to say. I was just kind of like, I was holding on to everything, and I wasn't really giving out the ability to do that. And it was,
it was your baby,
Exactly.
And I mean, you're trying to nurture it, you're trying to love it, and you're trying to be on the forefront of it. And I think, yeah, you're right. But when you realize that you get to these points where I'm not best suited in spending my time in these activities.
Not even that, I'm not the best at it.
Or the best at it.
That was the best thing for me. I was able to get it to this point. I knew what I wanted. But then, you know what? When we brought on team members that I knew, when you find the right people to do the right thing, and that
you
they
could
got
trust
the skill
that they were
set,
aligned with it.
And then we put the stringent policies around our brand. And that's what I was really concerned about, is like, what happens if, someone goes rogue and they just, and it's happened. I've caught it at times, and I'm like, no.
We got to stay.
Like there's still at times today
them.
where I'm at peak under the hood, just double check. And it's either, someone didn't catch it or something like that, but for the majority of it, now we got some great guardrails, right? Stick with the knees. Don't go outside without adjusting and getting approval. Not from me, but just from the brand side. And, but before that, I was in everything. I was approving everything. It was like, man, it was just, and as we kept going, that weight got bigger, and the demand for me got bigger as that weight kept growing. And I just said, what
was it for you? Was it just,
man, you knew me.
I know, but for the audience, were you just trying to control? Was it a control thing? Was it a trust thing? Was it?
I think it was insecurity of myself. To be honest with you, I think that I was being insecure that if I didn't control this, no one else could do it. So therefore, I'll do it all. When in turn, and I think it comes back down to when I was a young pup, just had to do it all on my own. I can do this. And you saw me through college, Doug, maintain that level of thinking. And what I didn't realize, and I'm still learning because I had so many habits built around that, is that, man, you can build a team that elevates you with with their abilities, and it's actually really cool
their
to
skill
see.
sets.
And it's actually cool to see in me is I'll toss some perspectives and make sure to do some, I do flinch tests. Hey, show me what's going on.
But you always educate yourself first,
100%.
So you do. And I've seen that in you, and that's a great leadership trait, but knowing that you're not the best at it, but I know enough about it that I can help, manage it or ideas around it, or make sure we're in alignment correctly, but no, I mean, you see it in organizations where, top level CEOs and managers that are in position, it's a control, it's an ego thing, and they hold on to it, and you see it suffocate and bottleneck process,
Man, they want to be,
evolution.
Yes.
I
hear
growth
it today from people, and I've seen it, man. I think that I'm still learning this, and I'm not great at it, so I'm going to raise my hand, but I've gotten a lot better. It's like, man, if I can give someone the freedom to go do what they're great at, and if they're not great, they're not going to be on this team anyways. I've learned that too. Like, fire them. Don't let them be part of this.
If they fail,
journey.
they're not the best. They're not the best person in the seat.
They're not the best person. If they can't maintain or elevate the integrity of what I'm envisioning at the highest level above myself to push me, they're not a good fit. Then I'm gonna hit that point, and I'm gonna drag them, right. And I want that evolving push where they continually push me
forward thinking.
And then I'm like, man, that is a great thought. That's a great view. That's a great design, collateral design. I wouldn't have thought of that, right? Like, I got a general idea, but I want I want our team, especially on the brand side, is like, listen, you guys go develop this thing. The guardrails. If we need to evolve those, evolve them within the constraints of we don't want to get overwhelming. We don't want to get overwhelming. We don't want to get we don't want rainbow colors, right? Like, but we did evolve our colors. We changed to actually the color that I was originally hoping for to structure a lot more crispness around the brand. And I was actually like, perfect, that's great. So, but I'll tell you what, the risk of control and the journey of controlling everything, the risk is your health, your well-being, the way you show up for your team, the ability to execute at the high level, your family. I mean, I went through all of those cycles at the bottom of the barrel, man.
That's on the personal level, but then you're right.
Man,
but then you look at the operational side of things in an organization too. You're an inch deep and a mile wide and no traction.
Let me go over here. I'm in engineering, and I used to do this to Ben. He'd be like, man, I go, listen, dude, you guys do the research. You guys maintain that.
You're the experts.
Make the decision.
Here.
Make the decision. Yeah. If it's the wrong decision, I'm going to challenge you. Why did we make that decision? If we did the research, and the research was warranted, which we did that recently, but the decision we all found was incorrect. Boom, we're going to move on. We're out. But let's make sure you do your research. It's not an emotional marketing tactic, which I've fallen into. Right? We're not just going, that sounds good. Show me, don't tell me.
Hope it sticks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Show me, don't tell me. But that bottleneck structure is it's hindering. And I think that the cycles of us I knew I've always pushed through it and said I can handle more. When you get to where we're at, you can no longer do that. I mean, if I was maintaining everything on your side, I wouldn't be able to maintain.
You wouldn't have success on the other side. There's tug and pull, there's give and take, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. There's not 25 hours in a day. There's 24. And where do you maximize time and effort, and where you can delegate to fulfill objectives or tasks? Because otherwise things slip through the cracks, and then it becomes a bigger problematic issue that goes unrecognized, and you see that in organizations where at the top there's too much control. They want too much of a thumb on it. But if you look at good leaders, they have great leaders within them or beneath them, that help drive the bus. And in a lot of organizations, you look at Fortune 500 companies and how they're structured, and people that are in positions, and everything rolls uphill, but again, it's good leadership from the top that instills trust, in others to lead in these positions, but
I think they say like 72% of founders will face chronic stress. I'm going to raise my hand right now. I was in that, man. I was angry. I was tired. I was but inside of me, I'm like, I got this. I can do it all. I can maintain this. No worries. But man, I'll tell you what, now, guess what? Now this is like the ability to, I wouldn't say relinquish control, but just putting people that are better than me in positions to enhance it just gives us a stepping stone within myself that now that the insecurity of control around how I felt then versus now, I'll still peek under the hood to make sure that what I'm being told is a reflection of what the results are. Because I like accountability, period. I mean,
reality.
Yeah. And let's get real. Like, if you went to the store, show me you went to the store. I'm not going to do that every step of the way, but I will peek under the hood quick every once in a while and say, show me what you're doing. Because I want to make sure what you tell me works.
Too. Yes. So, I mean, if you're telling me your things are being fulfilled or these tasks or objectives are being accomplished, then it should speak for itself.
100%.
If I peek under the hood, that's what I should see. I should see reality. If it's not there, I got to question.
Well, then I'm going to dig deeper, right? But you know what you don't want to do as a founder is micromanage along the way the entire cycle of a business, right? Mm-hmm. Imagine going from a startup to 500,000 to $1 million to 2 million. Every cycle of these stages changes the game. And as you get even further past that 5, 7, above that stuff, you're going to start feeling these critical points within yourself. And then you have a family, right? Now you got all these dynamics that come into play that you have to evaluate and do like a health check inside and be like, listen, is this...
Can't give 100% to everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the thing I don't know if I'll ever be able to give up and just in my being is I loved being out with everyone. I like to do the job with everyone. I'd like to win with everyone. I like to be part of it. It's just something. I'm not a good general on hill, like
vision.
You say.
It's these building blocks of, it's one brick at a time, right? And then when you get to the end, you go, oh my gosh, we did this. It's beautiful.
But back to the bottleneck, Doug, like don't be the bottleneck that you and I have experienced, the bottleneck of approval. I had jobs where they want me to approve everything. I'm like, listen, dude, if I'm approving anything, that means your process is poor. So let's define the process so I don't have to approve it. So you can sit back and I can do more without you. And they wouldn't do it. Control.
No.
Control on the general on the hill. I'm like, you're the general on the hill doing $3 million a year, buddy. So you're never going to get to where I want to go. Because you're gonna want to prove everything. So why don't we get a process in place that allows me to follow those guardrails without you, so you can be free. And I think this is the permission to suck and the permission to fail. I would say just the permission to fail is probably something that I didn't realize that I was okay with. I'm pretty stringent on being like solid at what we do, so I don't like when we fail. It's something, but I realize that that's going to happen when we try. So I have to.
You're going to make mistakes. Yeah. You're going to trip. You're going to stumble, but it's how you get back up and how you learn from it. Right. It's like going through those experience of failure will help you succeed if you use it in the right fashion. If you reflect on that.
And I think there's times that I'll raise my hand at delegation. Sometimes, like, on internally, I heard someone say, like, oh, I was surprised I wasn't involved in that. And there's times that I just move fast. I get up early. I want to get it off my plate. But I also have to realize that there's other people around you that also want to be involved. And maybe a half an hour difference in time, make sure you bring those people in at times. Sometimes I just run and gun and I'm just like, dude, I got it. I'll take care of it.
Because then it may give them a sense they don't feel trusted. They don't feel valued.
Exactly. And I did that to someone and I was like, okay, I heard it. I'm like, yeah, you're right.
I overstepped you.
I don't know if I overstepped that. It wasn't like I was maliciously doing it. I'm like, I'm just going
to No. It was just, I'm just going to handle this in the moment.
Yep, in the moment. But there's also like, when you start bringing other people into the fold, you got to realize like it's not just about you, right? Like, holy smokes. And that I'm still learning that. And it's probably going to be an ongoing problem for the rest of my life, but I'm trying to make that better. But I can tell you that the process to get out of the framework of I got to control everything to give the ability for failure or the permission to suck, I think that's just like this transitional flow, like give them the ability to make the decision. And what I'm finding, man, is people make those decisions. They're not always perfect, but and I'm seeing like gaps in my perspective of people going too fast or not paying attention, or not being detailed enough. And and then delivering
Making
something 3
mistakes
times. And you're like, dude, you just
continuously
gave this
making
to me 3
mistakes, yeah.
times and it's still wrong. It's clearly outlined here. What are we doing? Like, but I think they, everyone generally understands that, hey, we want to do a good job. Jeremy wants us to get it right the majority of the time and the first time. Let's not touch this again and again. However, there's also, I don't like doing that three times. I did that recently. I'm like, listen, what are we doing here? Why is that? And it's a lack of attention to detail at times. And I think that sometimes it's better to go slow and methodical than fast and touch it again and again
Right.
and again, right? Let's slow
Yep.
down and take another 3 minutes to do the task.
Yep.
But
And we're all guilty of that.
Yeah. And I think that the framework of control, though, if you take that control and you never relinquish the control, I think the entire team's it's gonna suck the life out of them.
Yeah, and it's you're gonna have you're gonna see lack of trust. You're gonna see gaps in process. You're gonna see morale. A lot of underlying impacts that aren't always on the front page. I've been a part of organizations where at the CEO level, where a lot of I'm going to say the larger decisions were made or stamp of approval, right? But then beneath that, you had managerial positions, people that were in leadership roles that should never even be in there, that create other bottlenecks or create friction between departments. And then you get this animosity between these two departments. They don't want to communicate. They don't want to work together for the end all be all goal of the task at hand. And the last organization I worked for, we had many different managerial positions in different departments, and there was friction between them all.
100%.
And the lack of communication and then in our processes, they would go outside the processes, and ultimately it resulted in a poor customer experience. And then when I came into the general manager's role, I said, stop, we're going to rewrite the script on our process map. And we're going to outline this, and here's how we're going to communicate in the fashion, in the stage of the process that it goes. And if the managerial position that's leading this department, if you can't lead by example and follow, you're not the right person in this. Because it starts with you and rolls downhill or goes downhill. But, it's not always at the top level. You could have breaks in your chain or chinks in your armor and in other managerial leadership positions that you got to recognize. Maybe they're not the right one to lead, and that's okay.
And I think it comes down to like an audit, like the next area is going to be like around a delegation audit. And I think that's something that I probably need to take under my wings a little bit more. Is like, listen, how do we delegate? And what is my saying, Doug? Delegate and
elevate.
Right. So delegate and elevate everything, right? Like I've started telling myself that over and over, because there's times when like I'm not delegating enough, or I'm delegating not crystal clear. And I think that I just had a customer call me.
Transparency is key.
Yeah. Transparency and clarity, right? Like with no like sometimes I do this assuming people are going to read my mind. You tell me that a lot. Like, hey, slow down, make it a little bit more descriptive. Not everyone's in your head.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're right.
Don't just schlep it over the wall.
Yeah.
I know you enough that over time I can, it's like, I know what's going on in Jeremy's head. I know what he's thinking. But when you have others, the perception to them could be different.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that like we're in that stage now is like, hey, let's maybe create a delegation structure that's not paralyzing to anyone, but it's clear and concise and correct. So we touch it once, because what I'm finding right now, we're wasting time touching things multiple times because it's not clear. It's quick. It's fast. We want to get on to the next,
but you also got to look at, does that person have the bandwidth to take on that responsibility on top of what they already have? Because I've seen this in organizations. Well, just put it on so-and-so's shoulders. And it's like that rubber band stretched tight already, and we're adding to it. Bad idea. You got to analyze the big picture of everything before you just go delegating something. You're ultimately trying to get something into the right seat to the right person for fulfillment, but do they have the bandwidth to take that on additionally to what their workload may be? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. And if they don't, you got to analyze. Yeah, and you
Anytime
gotta
you
be
delegate,
I think you gotta peel the layers of the onion back and analyze right spot, right person, right time.
but I
They have
also
the
I
bandwidth.
don't like when people are hiding, right? Like the delegation audit on the untold waste of time. Like, let's don't waste
Right,
time,
where's the
guys. Like,
time
I,
spent?
oh, Mova,
Yeah.
Susie's over there hanging on social media and says she doesn't have time. I've seen that and like, nope,
Oh my
I,
gosh.
dude,
Yeah.
I don't have time for that. You're hindering.
They're scrolling and I'll get to it
Go
later.
do that on your time. I'll pay you for. Let's get you on a contract then. Let's do that.
Yeah.
But I think the delegation audit is probably something that is important for where we're currently at. Is like, listen, let's get a structure to figure out where the strengths, weaknesses are within a process. But I think the one thing I was going to say is I had a customer call me recently say the delegation process ended up in red tape analysis where Delegate and that person would bottleneck and not elevate. They just sat there with
Right.
all this control. Well, they just got fired
Because it goes through me.
yesterday. Fired.
Yeah. And that's
CEO caught wind of it. Bye-bye.
next.
So
Nope.
heavy. And you know what? You know why? Because he's like, you're holding back greatness. They're trying to move fast, clear, concise, repeatable, on time. And that person is making a 25-page submittal on specifications of equipment when it should be, I mean, we're not making rockets over here, right? Like,
No.
paralyzing the ability to be
but
successful around corporate bureaucracy that person was told or shown once before. And that's what happens, man. They just get all
roadblocks.
So the bottlenecks in those delegations, you got to be really careful around and making sure that if you're seeing something stall, why?
Exactly?
Is it perfectionism?
Exactly.
Is it insecurity around, maybe that person needs a little bit of understanding that it's okay to suck every once in a while and it's okay to fail, right? Like, I want our team to realize we're going to fail, man. I make mistakes all the time.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to make a mistake.
I'd rather have someone go fast and suck than slow and deliver very slowly, because if we go fast and suck, we can edit again faster than we can get the deliverable. Like,
right. We can,
but I don't want
to
to do yeah, exactly. We can do that quick.
Yeah.
And we just did that exercise recently. I don't like doing it 3 times because now I'm like, man, because I'm not going to go through and I don't want to deliver something with clarity and then come back with something that is very unclear, not following, because that's what happened. But those people can understand. They're mature enough to understand that that's on them. Like, don't do that. That's wasting multiple people's time, right? Like, so I think that the lack of delegation, though, in an infrastructure, you will shrink your capacity from a morale standpoint, which then in results goes to customer service, customer experience, employee experience, and then the numbers, right? It's all going to shrink that down.
Yep.
So
I
think just as we wind this episode down, use delegation if you're early on in that position. You got all this control and you're starting to feel this growth happening. Maybe you're adding customers, or you gotta let go. And if you let go to that person and give them the freedom to go fly, and you find that they don't fly, that's okay. Just maybe reevaluate where they're at, or maybe they need training, or maybe they don't like the delegation. They didn't thrive in that delegation, but they can thrive in another delegation. Figure out what that is to start delegating. I'm going to raise my hand and say, like, I'm not always great at that. I just kind of delegate, or so, hey, can you please get this done, when maybe I'm not sure that person enjoys that. So I'm still learning.
And if the trust is earned, and if you think, they're the right person to take on the responsibility, let go of it. Let them try, let them fail, let them prove that they can handle the task that maybe you've delegated, that you've let go. Because in these roles, in leadership roles, you need to lead, and you need to lift all the others. What's the old saying? A rising tide lifts all boats.
Exactly. So I think as we wind it down, stop micromanaging. If you're the CEO founder, delegate to the right people,
Put trust
build the right
in them.
team, put trust in them. Understand that you don't have to control every single dollar. Just put processes in place that do that. That's what we've done. It's kind of thriving in its own ecosystem. If you have broken systems, focus on that. Like, don't just sit there and blame the people. Fix the system. Be part of that. Like, and
Bridge
don't
the
withhold.
gaps. Yep.
Don't micromanage that. So just keep pushing yourself, grow. I think that's
so that way you can relax and mind free, zen right?
When's that happening?
I don't know, but
until
you need
next
to
time,
try
guys. I'm your host,
Thank
Jeremy
you.
Axel, co-host D-Man Doug Cox. We will
social
hit you guys
media,
up
folks, Facebook,
social media,
X,
Delegate and Elevate. Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.